Right, time now for a brand new segment. This is The Verdict, and I'm very excited about this, Joe. This is where we're going to look through some of the most polarising opinions about football on the internet this week and get our guests to get off the fence and let us know if they agree or disagree with this. So a few mechanics for this one, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. What we're going to do is we're going to roll a clip that we found from the world of social media. It will be quite polarising, just to let you know. You're going to have two buzzers in front of you. You've got an agree buzzer, you've got a disagree buzzer. You're going to have to give us your verdict on that opinion after we've seen the clip. Let's have a look at the first one, and it comes from the club.
The last thing in the world we need, though, is another inside forward. Like, we've just signed Pedro Neto. We've just watched Noni Madueke put in a stellar performance. We've still got Mikhailo Mudryk.
Sancho in the 10 ad?
We don't play a 10, though. And also, Cole, if anyone's in the 10, it's probably Joao Felix or Cole Palmer, isn't it?
Rory, not happy as usual about something. This time it was about the Chelsea inside forward situation, obviously talking there about the Jadon Sancho signing. Before we give verdicts, Jadon Sancho to Chelsea, what are we thinking?
Strange, because they've got so many wide players, so many good wide players. Madueke, you guys were just speaking to there. I think he's really, really good player. Did they need to buy Sancho? It's real strange for him. He's a good player, and, you know, you never know, he could flourish there, but it just seems like, why did you need him?
I think just they want an abundance of riches in every area, and if the option was to get Sancho out of Manchester United and not actually lose any money because they're removing Sterling from their squad, they just look at it and go, obviously they don't care about how much game time he's going to get. They just think we just need that option there, and that's how they're operating.
But you say that about Sterling, though, but they are paying a proportion of Sterling's wage on it, and it's a loan deal. So, in effect, they've lost Sterling, paying a part of his wages, bought Sancho in, but then next season Sterling comes back, in theory, Sancho's on the books, so...
Yeah, no, fair, but in terms of massive expenditure over a prolonged period is what Chelsea do. I know it's weird for everyone to kind of understand and accept that this is a way to go about doing business, but Chelsea aren't breaking any rules, as we know yet. So they're just looking at it and going, it's another quality option to bring in. If you have the option to bring in Sancho, and we know his time at Manchester United isn't about his quality as a player, it's about the circumstance he found himself in, that you bring Sancho in. I would have taken him at Tottenham. I'm sure you'd have had him at
The thing is, though, right, is he, you know, you've got to look at the player as well. Is he going to be happy if he's not starting?
Probably not.
Madueke going to be happy? I don't know. I just don't think they needed him. They've got so many players in that.
There is a good player in there, though, as Flav said. Do you think he's a lot of game time for Chelsea, Sancho, this season?
The amount of money they pay for him probably will. But
does he start? I'm not sure he starts.
Madueke, who's just broke into the, you know, the England team, does he get sacrificed? You know what I mean? It's a weird one for me.
Neto and Mudryk, or less so Neto, but Mudryk is sitting there going, what is going on? Like, they've paid £80 million for me. I might not get 5 games this season.
All right, let's come to a verdict then. Did Chelsea need another inside forward? No or yes, Robbie?
So what's the no? The cross?
Yeah, they didn't need one.
No.
I can see the reasoning for bringing Sancho in, but they didn't need him.
OK, no.
OK, so agreement with there. Interesting. OK, that's the verdict on our first clip. So let's have a look at our second clip now. I must warn you, it's from AFTV, so this opinion...
Robbie's nervous.
Could be absolutely anything.
Robbie's nervous.
The reality is this summer ended the way many summers have ended under the Kroenkes, underwhelming. Much more. Only one summer didn't end underwhelming under this ownership, and that was last summer. Last summer. Instead, this season, to make up 2 points, we've promoted Ethan Ranieri, a 17-year-old. But when it's 1-1 and we need someone to change the game, we've only got Martinelli in attack. Why? You can't bring a 17-year-old Ranieri onto that pitch, 10 men, and expect him to do something because he's a 17-year-old.
Interesting. Yeah, that was
Rob's grinning.
Robbie is grinning.
That was because me and Turkish never agree on anything.
No.
So, like,
that was one of
very strong opinions, but I don't really agree with that. No,
I've seen that. Yeah. So the question we're asking is: will Arsenal's transfer window cost them the title? That was one of many shows on one of Robbie's many channels as part of his empire. There's probably 14 other shows going on right now, but that's the question we're asking from that clip. So let's come to you first. Talk about Arsenal's transfer window, because I thought it was pretty positive, wasn't it?
You know, the funny thing is that everybody outside of Arsenal thought it was very positive.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty positive, although the one thing that we were missing, I think every Arsenal fan would have loved us to have got a striker, right? But who is, you know, because we all look at Haaland and we're like, we need someone who's going to be able to compete with him. But who is that striker? You know what I mean? And we also have to be realistic about it. This is when I've looked into it. the amount of money. Look at the wages that Ivan Toney decided to go to Saudi for, and I don't blame him for that. Look at the whole Osimhen situation. That even Chelsea were like, we're not going to pay that. Victor Gyökeres had a release clause of £86 million, which no club in Europe went near. So I think, all in all, I think we did. We wanted Nico Williams. He didn't move. He didn't want to go Barcelona either. I think getting Sterling in was excellent.
Yeah.
On a loan, like you said, part of his wages being paid as well. And then I think Calafiori, very good signing. He was excellent at the Euros. And Marino is another good sign as well. I think,
what about the
Marino
sales, though,
getting
Rob?
injured.
What about the sales? So obviously, you sold big and well. Reece Nelson went out the door, Smith Rowe went out the door, but you didn't necessarily replace those roles, did you, directly? And first week Odegaard picked up an injury. It's like,
yeah, but then a lot of Arsenal fans, and this is where me and some go against each other, and that's fair. But last season there was a lot of fans saying one thing we want to see Mikel Arteta do is give young players a chance. And Nwaneri was brilliant in pre-season. Right, he's obviously looking at him and saying, well, I think he can step up. And, we've seen it at your club in Kobe Mainoo, how he stepped up. So sometimes you've got to then trust that young player. So he's obviously trusting Nwaneri. It would be interesting to see maybe if he starts, if Odegaard's injured, if he starts or maybe comes on tomorrow. But he looked very good in pre-season, Nwaneri. Yeah. So, and a lot of the players that went out for Arsenal, they barely played last year. I mean, and they got good money for him. I was a bit upset to see Emma Smith Rowe go.
A lot of Arsenal fans said that.
Yeah, mainly because we know he's Arsenal through and through. But really and truly, he didn't really play much last season. And
but was that because of your injuries?
If everybody was fit this season...
But was that because of your injuries, though, Rob, where you didn't actually have major injuries to key significant
But in that
players,
position now, they've sort of brought in Marino. Marino's that guy, and he's just unfortunate that in his first training session he got injured. Gabriel fell on him, right? So... I think, all in all, I think they did as well as they could have done, but I would have loved to have seen a striker.
What do you think, Flav?
I think the way Arsenal have spent over the last 5 years have put them in a position where they're such an accomplished 11 now and squad. So any criticism of their transfer policy is a little bit crazy, in my opinion.
Do you know as well? Net spend, got to give Arsenal credit here. Net spend was only £3 million this summer, because a lot of people are saying, they spent big. They did spend over 101 million, I believe, but they sold 98 million in the likes of Emile Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah and Ramsey, which would suggest that there's potential funds in January as well.
Yeah,
so from a recruitment policy,
that's something we never used to do. In years gone by, we had players, we were having to give them away. Literally have to say to those players, we'll pay you to leave.
Or they went to Man City.
Well, and there was that as well. And now we haven't got players going to Man City, and we're not giving away players. And when we do move a player on, we're getting a profit. I think, listen, as I said, I would have loved to have seen a striker, but who?
So does that window move the dial on the title then? Has that window pushed you closer? Let's go to Flav, actually. Do you think that's pushed them closer to Man City?
I don't think so. I think it gives them... The squad's deeper, especially with Sterling coming in. I completely see the logic of bringing Sterling in. But whether or not Arsenal win the league isn't based on what they do, unfortunately.
Who wins the league this season for you?
Man City, unless, depending on what happens to the Chargers, it'll be Man City.
So, an interesting thing is...
I hope, yes.
The interesting thing is, we made a couple of signings. City, they sold Alvarez. They didn't replace him.
Yeah.
Right, so what if something happened to Haaland? Now, I know they'll probably be looking at it and saying, we've got other players that will force number 9s and stuff like that. So, so it just shows you that striker is very difficult to obtain right now in the market.
They made something like 90 million euros.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, incredible profit.
They did manage to bring back Gundogan for free as well, which is a big help, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that realm.
Who wins the title for you this season, Robbie?
I'm going with Arsenal. I have to back my team, innit?
OK, let's give you the verdict then on will Arsenal's transfer window cost them the title. I think I know where we're going. Robbie, you first.
Yeah, no.
Flav.
I'm going to say yes, but it wouldn't.
Yes, despite having an argument that
it's not. Arsenal done incredible work, but it's Manchester City. So I'm going to say they should have signed Gyökeres, and then maybe.
Okay, fair enough. Long answer, but we got the verdicts in the end.
OK, let's go to the next clip, shall we? And this is what Cristiano Ronaldo, said in a recent interview with Rio Ferdinand. They say they cannot compete to win the league and the Champions League. Of course, talking about Manchester United here. You cannot say that. You're not going to win or fight to win the league or the Champions League. So obviously talking very much there about Manchester United and the rhetoric coming from the club about not being able to compete for the big honours. This is how Erik ten Hag responded this week.
So he's far away from Saudi, or far away from Manchester. So everyone can have, and is entitled to have an opinion. It's okay.
So there we go. Is Ronaldo right? Should Manchester United's rhetoric be much more, we can win the Premier League, we can win the Champions League, or is the realism, you know, I as a Manchester United fan, don't think we can win those competitions? Is that, which side do you come down on?
Yeah, I think Ronaldo's talking about the old United, right? And, you know, and to be real, United should be talking in that way. But at the moment, at this moment in time, I think everybody can see they are trying to rebuild it, right? So you can't just come out and say we're going to win. You know, you'd end up sounding a bit delusional if Ten Hag came out and said that right now. So I get where Cristiano Ronaldo's coming from because he's a winner and he just wants. He sees Man United as a club that should always be competing on both of those competitions. But the reality of it is that right now, they're quite far away from both of those.
I think there's two things. I agree 100% with what Robbie said. There's also needle between them. So anything that Ronaldo says about Ten Hag is going to be elevated to a point where perhaps it wasn't what he initially intended. He came out of a dressing room that had Sir Alex Ferguson there. They would never talk in that way. And that was a team that dominated, the best team in Europe for many years. And so he looks at Ten Hag and what United are in their current form and thinks that's not one I recognise, and that's where it comes from if you've just taken his word for it. But I just think he just wanted to stick the boot in on Ten Hag, really.
Do you?
Yeah.
What, just from afar, just like little dig?
Because Ronaldo exists in this bubble, in my opinion, that he's created for himself, which is the reason why he's still lingering around the Portuguese side. I know he scored some goals recently, but they kind of look at him. Martin's probably looking at him going, do me a favour, just retire, just so I can get on and rebuild the next stage. But he can't, because this is everything. And he has been the figurehead, along with Messi, for the world of football. So now he's looking at this situation, seeing a different Manchester United. He's at the twilight of his career, and if he gets opportunities, perhaps he will put the boot in a little bit. But he shouldn't have really said what he said. It doesn't help anything.
Do you think, from Erik ten Hag's perspective, it must be tiring hearing like constant?
He's got a job. He's just trying to get on with his job.
Although he's under a lot of pressure, because you know. As far as the league is concerned, I don't think he's doing good enough. He should be doing better. I mean, I know last year had a lot of injuries, but I just feel that, you know, I still don't know what Man United's style is, and there's still a lot of questions around him. So, but if we're being real right now, he is trying to rebuild it. He's brought in players this season. I know the season hasn't started well for him. We've got to give him a chance, but...
We're only 3 games in.
Those noises will get louder.
To me, it's crazy he's still there.
All right, Flav. We're only 3 games in, so let's go to the verdict here. Do you agree with Cristiano Ronaldo?
I don't. I'm going to say no. Just I don't like the fact that
you don't like the vibe.
First, but
yeah, respect.
Yeah, and I also have to say, you know, no, because currently I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
As a Man United great, but he's got to look at the situation right now, and no.
Totally.
OK, so that is the verdict on our 3rd clip. Let's have a look at the 4th clip involving Faisal giving a bold opinion about Rodri. Have a look at this.
I don't understand this Rodri hype. He's a great player. I'm not denying he's not a great player. He's a great player, very talented player. The best DM in the world. I'm not denying anything about Rodri. But, bro, Rodri wasn't City's best player last season. At the Euros, he wasn't Spain's best player. But let's be real, Rodri does not deserve to be anywhere near 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, or 6th, bro.
That's brave.
Wow, OK, so the question that we want to get your verdicts on is, does Rodri deserve the Ballon d'Or? Obviously, the likes of Vinny Jr., Jude Bellingham, Lamine Yamal, and Rodri, of course, linked with that. What do you make of those comments?
He had a Real Madrid shirt on for a start.
He's a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah.
Microphones are cheap these days. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy that he's... The conversation between Vinicius Jr. or Rodri, right? If that is the conversation between 1 and 2, who should get it? There is a definite argument that it could be for Rodri. He's complete and he's essential to whoever he plays for, whether it be Spain or Manchester City. And because of how important his efficacy is in every football match, it has to be considered and thought about in a different way than Vinicius Junior because of his role in the team. Both things are crucial, but you can find players, inside forwards, number 9s that can change games. We've seen it, Bale, Benzema, in massive moments in cup finals. But Rodri does it every week, and so should be given it.
He only lost one game.
6 is mad.
I know, he only lost one game lost, that was the FA Cup final. He won the league, of course, he won the Euros, and there's that incredible stat of his record when they have him, when they don't have him. Every game that City lost practically was when he wasn't playing. I mean, are you quite surprised with that?
Yeah, no, I can't agree with that. Sorry, Faisal, I can't agree with that at all. Rodri's one of the best players around.
Yeah.
It's because he's playing in that kind of unglamorous position of defensive midfielder. I see it with like Declan Rice for us. He's absolutely brilliant. But then we'll come out of a game and a lot of people will be talking about other players. But those players are the foundation of your team. And Rodri, like you said, he won the league and he won the Euros as well. Remember, Spain weren't the favourites to win the Euros at the start of that. He played in every single game. For Spain.
Scored massive goals for
City.
City.
Big goals. He's such a huge player. There's an argument to say he should win the Ballon d'Or. Yeah. There's an argument to say that. You know what I mean? Like,
Isn't it also important to recognise his value as a 6?
Of course.
Whoever it is, the way the Ballon d'Or's decided, but it's always about who has those magic moments.
That position is an unglamorous position. So I always remember all those years ago at Arsenal, right, when Gilberto Silva got injured, right? And nobody really used to talk about him much before that. And when he got injured, everyone was like, oh, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. Who do you think wins the Ballon d'Or this year, then?
It'll probably be Vinicius Junior.
But who should win it?
But Rodri, in my opinion.
Okay. Robbie?
I think I'd edge it Vinicius Junior because they won the Champions League.
Okay.
But Rodri's got... I mean, if he got it, I wouldn't be against that either. I think he's such a quality player.
OK, let's get the verdict then on the last one. Does Rodri deserve the Ballon d'Or is what we're asking. Robbie, agree or disagree?
Yeah.
He's at least in the conversation here, isn't he? Like, we love you, Faisal, but surely he's in the conversation of at least top 5. Goodness me.
Great.